Hello! Welcome to Buzzin' with Cousin Talk. I'm your host, Cousin Johnny. We're here at 520 Fremont Street. We're at Max Fit. Great place for your nutritional needs and also the grab and go meals. Nutritious meals already made. Terrific. And we thank Chris Spencer, the owner and founder of Max Fit, for sponsoring the show today. Thank you so much, Chris. I think Chris is here. Chris, come on in.
All right. Yeah. All right. Thank you for having me today.
Chris.
All right.
Sharon.
All right, for sure.
Chris, thank you so much for
Oh,
having us come on.
Oh, you're more than welcome. And welcome.
I know you. I thank you for being on my show about 2 months ago. It was a great show. A lot of people saw it, but that people didn't see it. Tell us just real quick about Max Fit.
A little overview. So Max Fit is kind of the parent name for the company. We have Max Fit Markets. There's a store here, obviously 520 Fremont in Monterey, California. And we have one in Salinas. We have a grab and go selection. We sell food. It's healthy prep meals. Anything from ultra clean chicken, brown rice, broccoli to fettuccine to Hispanic dishes, all very flavorful but cooked cleaner with cleaner quality, lower sodium, etc. So we've been doing it about 5 years in the meal prep business. To the point where we've perfected the process where we utilize our professionally trained chef who has a background in also restaurants, culinary aspect, but also like assisted living facilities when he first started out. So he's very good at preparing our dishes to a healthier standard, but remaining the same quality flavor. So our core values are always providing great service, great environments, hence this little lounge we're hanging out. We want to be more about like a community-based business other than just getting your money and getting you out the door. Personally, I started Max Fit about 18 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's been an overnight success. So 18 years of doing this, but it's been into the last 7 years where we really picked up a lot of traction, and a lot of that has to do with the food. We're currently shipping food to the continental United States during just post-COVID, the lockdowns, etc. We're in an interesting spot, like most businesses in this country. Previous to COVID, the timing was kind of a perfect storm. We had started a brand new website, and we're kind of prepping to start going after like a national clientele. COVID really accelerated that. We were actually turned it into a blessing for us personally. Obviously, there was a lot of heartache and suffering we acknowledge in the country, but during COVID, we've started to ship food nationally. Even work with Johnny's famous daughter as well. Who is a great asset to not only the community here,
She loves it.
but no, it's been kind of a really cool experience to really sit back and reflect about our business during COVID and actually invested heavily into packaging machine and rebranded a lot of our meals, and now we've extended the life from five days max to 10 to 12 days.
12 days.
That's impressive.
Yeah, in the process we've also reduced the carbon footprint on the meals.
Wow.
Where we're not going down to the restaurant supply, kind of like the to-go containers. We have rather large expensive purchase, but there's no top part. It's a shrink wrap with cellophane, and then the bottom part is like 25% less plastic than the previous one. So we deleted the top, have less on the bottom. So our carbon footprint, as we scale, is also this is a big priority.
You're thinking.
Yeah, so we're trying to cover all angles. So far this year, we're projecting to sell about 180,000 meals, both locally.
Wow, 180,000
Yeah,
meals.
Every month it's kind of not decreasing. Typically, there's trends in health and fitness, and towards summer, and you get a nice little spike, and things kind of trail off. And we haven't been trailing off. We've just been scaling up. So who knows? It could be 200,000 at this point.
I've had them and I love them.
Yeah.
And I just want the listeners out there to know that you don't have to be a fitness fanatic or whatever. Anybody could come in,
Sure.
grab one of these meals. You got tri-tip, you got chicken, you got salmon. You know, you're on your way home and you know, you can't make it to the store. Come in, grab a meal at Max Fit.
Yeah, and that's our thing. We were really early on. It was in the inception of the business. It was more. I was at the gym 6 days a week,
Yeah.
deadlifting. I met Johnny through a store, and he was. I was actually living in Santa Cruz. He's a local Monterey legend, and had a
Yes.
book and
Yeah.
dumbbell workouts with Johnny, and I actually bought the book. And you know, and as I've created, you know, a life beyond that, and still fitness is still very
Yeah.
important. But my wife and I have 2 young children, and we're doing soccer practice and a lot of things, time commitments. So the store has evolved, and like I want people to know, I'm sure you can attest to it. It's probably not what you think, right?
Absolutely.
It's
Right.
not intimidating. Where at least we
Right.
try really
No,
hard
it's
to do.
not. No.
So anyone from a grandmother of 20 kids to a fitness guy or gal, anyone in between is welcome, and we go out of our way to make it a smooth, comfortable, unique environment that's non-intimidating. You can come easily, get in and out, grab your food for the
And
day.
then you've created a little lounge,
Yeah, the lounge, or
Spencer's Lounge.
right, that's a whole different
This
podcast.
is amazing.
Yeah.
Spencer's
I
Lounge.
mean, this is a good place to relax.
Or hide.
Yeah, hi.
But
Exactly.
what I was
So-
going to go back to this Max Fit meals is that someone can get like 10 days worth of meals.
Sure.
You've got a lot of life,
Yeah.
10 days of
Sure.
life, and you can eat for a whole week.
Sure.
Healthy meals, just grab one and heat it up. And
Yeah,
you're
and
ready to roll.
the demographic we kind of fall into now is, you know, a lot of people are buying food for their parents that traditionally would go down, and like my father, when he passed, he had lean cuisines and very high sodium processed stuff where, you know, the beauty of this package machine that we purchased, it gets, you know, you're not going to get 6 months out of a meal, but you're going to get 10 days. But we're not using preservatives to get those 10 days. It's just the sealing and, you know, elimination or deletion of the oxygen in there as much as possible so bacteria doesn't grow. There is obviously a lesser time than, like I said, something you find at, you know, Safeway or whatever store. But, you know, so a lot of people are buying food for their parents because it's not just brown rice and chicken and
Right.
broccoli. The food is very flavorful in our opinion, so we work hard on that.
That's great.
Yeah.
Well, Chris, we thank you for hosting
Yeah,
this
for
event.
sure.
And
Yeah.
thank you.
I'll
and,
jump off here, but I'm going to go sit, and I'm excited to hear about Tony.
Chris, here's a book for you.
Oh, thank you so much.
You'll read all about New York.
Is
Your
that-
wife will enjoy it.
Oh.
That's me at 18.
Wow.
But you
Even though I look like I'm
you gotta
12.
hear-
Not much change.
You gotta,
No.
you gotta hear the story.
As you can tell, people, the viewers can't see, but I have the New York skyline on the
Oh, we
windows.
love it.
All my wife's ancestors that came from Sicily, and they landed in
That's
New
why I
York.
brought this up to
And
you.
yeah, so I'm gonna jump off and
It's
I'll be-
okay.
It's a New York story.
Thank you
All
so
right.
much.
Thank you, Chris, for
Thank
having
you for the
us.
book.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay.
Thank you, Chris Spencer.
Okay.
And now I'd like to introduce our guest. He's an author. He's a storyteller and a good friend of mine. And he just wrote this book called Cherish. It's a great book. I'm about 150 pages into it.
A New York teenager and a nun learn about love.
Yeah, and please welcome Tony Albano.
Thank you. Johnny, thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming on.
I can't even believe where we are.
Yeah, I mean,
I had no idea. John gave me directions to a place, and I came with my dear friend today, and this is like a whole other world. I didn't even, this is something. And I got to meet the man who married me 40 years ago.
Yeah.
Yes, Chris Johnson.
Yeah, Chris Johnson.
And you and I met around 30 years ago,
Yeah.
working on Fisherman's Wharf.
Fisherman's Wharf.
Right.
So, Tony, where'd you grow up?
I grew up in Brooklyn. In my story, Cherish, actually, I didn't, there was a tenement we lived in, but then we moved into the projects, which unbelievably, the projects seemed like we were going to the Hilton.
Yeah.
It was so much better than the tenement. It was an unbelievable feeling. We were like the first tenants in the project.
Nice.
Still, when I smell fresh paint, it always brings me back to moving into the projects for the first time. So I had never seen a playground before until I moved into the
Wow,
project.
that's great. And then how did you end up in Monterey?
In Monterey, my friend Sharon came with us, and this gives me a good opportunity to tell people my story and Sharon. The way I got to Monterey is when I was young, I was a performer in New York City, writing songs, and I had the opportunity to work at a deli, which was wonderful because I still had my night times for me to go perform in New York. Well, lo and behold, when I did not get discovered, I got lucky enough to buy the deli from the man who retired. So at 23, I ended up owning a deli, and at 26, I met my wife, Pat, who you know.
Yeah.
Pat started cooking at the deli. And when she cooked at the deli, we really did great. There was a line around the block. I had my cousin working for me. I mean, I'm only 26, and I have young people working for me. I thought life couldn't get much better than that.
That's beautiful.
Because Pat started cooking, homemade cooking, and that really did the job. But then a man came in and said, I'd like to buy your deli. I said, oh no, I'm very happy. I have no education. I never did anything but work at the deli and now own it. And he told me how much he would give me. And I said, even if I had the money, I don't know what I would do with it. And he said, well, think about it. And I did. And when he left, my wife said, who was that man? Like he was the Lone Ranger. And I said, he wants to buy the deli. And she said, well, how much does he want to give you? And I told her, she goes, what'd you say? I said, we're happy. She goes, we're not that happy. I go, I didn't know we weren't happy. She goes, we've never been that happy. I go, why didn't you say anything? She says, well, it was your life. You've been here since you're 19. But for that amount of money, we could go live in California where my sister lives. So really, this is an opportunity. I called the man Dennis up the next day, said, Dennis, I am not that happy. You can buy the deli. And I sold him the deli. And the next thing I knew, we were on our way to California. And when we got married at Lovers Point here in Carmel, I said to my wife quietly, while Chris was the official, I said, am I happy yet? She goes, now you're happy. So you don't know you're happy till your wife tells you. Okay, so now I'm happy, and I moved to California. I started working with you at Wallside.
Right.
And then I was the manager for a while. And, a car accident put me out of action. I worked at Elfania, put me out of action. And all of a sudden, the performing in me came out, and I've been telling stories, and there's a little dog that came into my life that's missing a leg, just like myself. And when the dog came into my life, everything changed, and I started performing. The man who owned the dog said, now I would like to put your stories in a little book. And I said, I don't know about that. He goes, I want my dog on the cover of a book, and then we can do this. I go, if that's what you want, we'll do it.
A leg to stand on.
A leg to stand on, because I'm missing a leg. And then I started telling these short stories, and lo and behold, I mean, I can't use a computer, I can hardly spell, I can't type. I had these two little books out because they transcribed them for me, so I just told stories. But I did have a secret story in me that I never told anyone. It's a 50-year-old secret, and I didn't tell the story to protect someone's reputation and protect the person, but my wife always wanted me to tell the story, and that's why I wrote Cherish. And this one, I could not speak into a tape and have people transcribe it. They literally made me sit down and write it longhand. So everything in that book was written longhand. It was a little grueling, but I started it 30 years ago. So basically half the book was written.
Okay.
Whenever it came to the personal part, I would stop. But on the 50-year anniversary of this event took 1 year to live, but 50 years to tell. On that given point, I said, if I don't do it now, I will never do it. I'm 65, and I finally got it out. So, you came to my first show on the road, August 1st.
It was really fun.
It was great to see you again, and it's great to be in this place where, when Johnny told me to come to Max's Fit, I didn't know what he was talking about. And here is this called Chris's Fit, Max's Fit?
No, this is company, so now we're a corporation that's expanding. But this is called the Spencer's Lounge.
The Spencer's Lounge.
That's my last
Well,
name.
what is that called?
Max Fit
Max
Market.
Fit.
Yeah.
We walked into Max's Fit Market,
Yeah.
and then it took me into a whole new world back here. This is called Spencer's Lounge, which is different, much different. And I'm happy to be able, as like a member of a club, to come. Most clubs will not have me, but here I am at Spencer's Lounge.
Great.
I never knew this even existed.
We didn't know, and we want to come back.
And for me, Johnny knows I have no technology skills, decided he would do the show differently and have me sit next to him so I didn't have to get on
And
the
we
computer.
thank Chris Spencer
For having
for
us.
hosting this event.
I had no idea what was going on and where we were going.
So Cherish, like I said, I've been reading, probably 150 pages. You know, I'm a slow reader. I haven't got to that
It's okay.
spicy part.
The personal part is
The
coming.
personal
I
part.
think I kept the people waiting long.
And, but I like the relationship that you had with your grandfather.
My grandfather was my world.
I mean, that was a really, you know, in this book, it's like,
My
it
grand
was like the go-to person for you.
he shielded me from
And
a lot of
and
abuse.
you too.
Yes. Yes.
You enjoyed him, and
Yes. We had a love that was unlike any other.
yeah,
And when you continue reading on the book, when there comes a part where I don't lose him physically, but I lose him mentally, and then that's when I have a relationship with a nun who steps in to save my life.
a nun. Wow.
A nun, yes.
And you're in Catholic school.
I was in Catholic school. It was the first year nuns did not wear habits.
Yeah,
Parents were in an uproar. Some thought it was a good idea, some didn't.
yeah,
And a little bit of the story is each year before school starts, in autumn, each church in New York, they have a feast or a bazaar to raise money for the church. And each year my friend and I would go just to check out the upcoming year. It was the end of summer, kind of like Labor Day was just now.
yeah.
You would always go the week of like Labor Day. And this year, which made going to the bazaar more interesting, is we were going to see the nuns not wearing habits. They were going to be in civilian clothes.
Okay, yeah.
So any 14-year-old kid would be like, I got to see this.
Yeah,
Nuns without habits.
yeah.
But there was a little more intrigue to this year because this year there was going to be a new nun. Because Sister Patrice, who I liked very much, got promoted to Mother Superior.
Right.
So that it left an opening for a new nun. And I was working with my friend Ed, and as we're looking at legs and hair and things we've never seen on these women before,
Yeah.
I spot the new nun. And I go, oh my God, Ed, if I get her, my life is over. And he goes, why? I go, look at her. She's mean looking, she's rigid. She just is not Sister Patrice.
Yeah.
So I started figuring out in my mind, they had it in categories, the smart kids, the medium kids, and the dumb kids. Ed was in the smart class. I was in the dumb class. I go, well, let's see how they would play this. A new nun, would she to make it easier on her and give it to the smart kids? Or would someone who looks as mean as this give it to the dumb kids because she can handle it?
She can handle
Which way this would fall? I went to school and I got her. I said, Ed, I'm finished. We walked home from school. I go, you lucky dog.
Yeah.
You got Mr. Villar, such a nice man. I got the meanest woman on earth. And little did I know, I thought my life had ended. My life had just begun. And I won't tell you more of what happens.
No.
I will tell you one thing. When we open up and I talk to her a little, she says, what brings you happiness? And I told her the New York Mets. She goes, the Mets, they lose every day.
Yeah.
I go, well, that's why I love them. They need me.
Yeah.
She liked the Yankees. I go, they're easy to like.
Yeah.
They win every day. She goes, well, if that brings you happiness, how's about when springtime rolls around, we start going to baseball games? I said, you're on. And that starts the relationship.
And you guys went to the Mets game.
More than a Mets game. We didn't want to go to a Mets
Are you
game.
still a fan now?
No, I've lost interest in baseball over the years.
Oh, you did?
But back then, I could have lived at Chase Stadium if they would have let
Yeah,
me.
on your book, it was
Yes.
your grandfather is a big Mets fan.
Well, my whole family was
Yeah.
big baseball fans. On my father's side, my grandfather was voted baseball's #1 fan in New York, 1936. It's in the New York Times. I put a copy of that
I saw
article
the
about,
article.
and we have the same name, which makes it interesting. It'll say either Anthony Albano or Tony
And
Albano.
then they won the World Series, the Amazing
The
Mets.
Amazing Mets,
That must have been
but when
crazy.
I met the nun and she was making fun of my Mets, we didn't know they were gonna. I felt they were
Yeah.
gonna go all the way, but she had her doubts. And then we go through, like I said, a year to live, but 50 years to tell.
Yeah, that's-
And this is me in my life. I was telling Chris here of Chris Spencer's Lounge that in New York, my father had 10 brothers, and my father was the straight one. Luckily, he went to work and had a job. The other brothers did different things. And should I tell you a little story about
Yeah.
that? Well, the first family Albano reunion was 10 brothers. They all had spouses. All the spouses had kids. They told me Uncle Sal is in the hospital and we need to go visit him. So you got to imagine 10 brothers with wives and kids. There's a lot of people going to the hospital. And we're driving and driving and driving. And I'm an only child at that point, sitting in the back of the car. And I'm sitting, wow, this must be some hospital.
Yeah.
This is a long, long ride. But I'm quiet. I'm an only child. Now we're out of the city, and I start seeing mountains and streams and scenery I've never
You
seen
guys are
before.
driving. Yeah.
I go, wait, George, this is gorgeous. I wonder what's the matter with Uncle Sal. This is a long ride now,
Yeah.
and I'm squirming in the back of the seat. I can't wait to get out of the car and play with my cousins that I haven't seen. And we get there, and we go through 2 brick columns, and we drive through. There's picnic benches all over the place. My father says children are not allowed in hospitals, so the kids will have to. But when we get up there, we're gonna have Uncle Sal wave to you, and that way you can say hello to him. So there's me and all my cousins. Remember, if 10 brothers all have kids, and I each have more than one, there's a lot of kids. I'm the oldest. I'm waving to my Uncle Sal, and I look up and I go, you know, this doesn't look like a hospital. This looks like jail. I see bars on the thing.
Oh, yeah.
I see men in uniforms. I go, Dad, this looks like a prison. He goes, Anthony, don't ever mention a prison. He picked me up like a feather and took me over and said, Anthony, you're the oldest
Yeah,
kid.
don't say
Don't
nothing.
mention a prison. Please don't mention a prison. I go, Dad, I won't. I'm just saying. This looks like a jail. So the first family Albano reunion was at a prison in upstate New York. So that kind of gives you a little history of my father's side of the family. One of my cousins married John Gotti's daughter. So I was telling Chris Spencer over here that I either could have been a hippie or a gangster in New York.
Yeah.
So as you can see, I turned out to be a hippie. This is me on Bleecker Street in Greenwich Village. I was 18, even though most people say I look like I'm 12. And this is in front of the Other End, which is a famous nightclub on Bleecker Street in Greenwich Village. My friend Ed took the picture, and little did I know 50 years later, it would have relevance in my story.
Yeah.
This photograph, after you read the end of the book, you will know why this is the photograph of the book. Because then this really takes on a whole new meaning of why this certain look that I have will kind of shock a person.
Wow.
And I won't tell you more than that.
Okay.
Okay.
It's gonna be great.
So
I'm
read,
looking forward to it.
my first relationship was with a nun. And I will let you know, we have been in touch for 50 years.
And she's still around now?
We have lost contact in the last 6 months. Something is wrong.
Yeah.
But for 50 years, we'd always call on our birthdays and Christmas.
You call and
You know, she called me, I called her.
wow, what a story.
It's quite a story. I don't want to tell you. You will know when she sees that I look like this after not seeing me for a while. I think I should tell you.
Does she know that,
No.
that you wrote a book?
She has asked me for 50 years not to write this.
Oh,
But I thought after 50 years, I'm 65, she's in her 80s.
yeah.
It's time for me to tell the story.
Got it.
It's almost a gift to my wife.
Yeah.
And Pat wanted me to tell this story.
Beautiful.
So anyway, when she saw how I looked after not seeing me, she goes, "You look like Jesus Christ." And I said, I had a good teacher. She was a nun. Read the book.
Got it. Cherish. It's
And
it's
the
a
new
good
subtitle, I realize this is the old one. The new subtitle is "A New York Teenager and a nun learn about love."
Oh,
I happened
that's
to
the
bring
new
the wrong.
title?
I brought the wrong book.
Okay.
Someone got scared that I mentioned the nun in the cover. Do you have a nun on yours?
Uh,
Oh no.
Yes,
That's a good one.
you have the one. Chris has the book.
Yeah.
So it's a New York teenager and a nun learn about love. I thought I had this in my
Nice,
bag of
yeah.
tricks. So,
So Tony, this is your third book.
yes, yes. These two little
Okay,
books,
so what we have here is
Life is a Bumpy Road and A Leg to Stand On. These are true short stories of my life. And interesting you should bring that up, Johnny. When you're a storyteller like myself and you write these little stories, true, but they happen, and you could, some of the stories are like one page. People think you're an open book. But I'm not an open book because I kept this secret for 50 years.
Yeah.
So that's the one story I would not tell in public. But people, I never really considered myself a writer, but people are saying the writing this is fantastic.
Has there been any idea, any thought about doing a screenplay, or
People have offered already.
they have?
Yes, and one person did a screenplay, but my wife and I were not very happy. She changed the whole story around,
Oh yeah.
where the story is not even recognizable anymore. But there was another person who said they would like to write the screenplay.
I think it's gonna be. I think it'll be a hit.
We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
I'm just glad I finally got it out while I'm living.
Yeah. Now, do you have plans on on a fourth book, or are you
I do. And it won't be about me. Enough about me.
Okay.
It's called The People in My Building. It's about what happens when I got in my car accident and was housebound for 5 years. And all the people that came to visit me, it'll be about each one of those persons, their story. I ended up saying, they would bring me things to eat and just to keep me company.
Yeah.
And I would say, I appreciate you coming here and bringing me things. Can you just tell me a little story of your life? And they would tell me these unbelievable, fascinating stories. These are people I always thought were boring and old. And I was totally wrong. They had wonderful lives. So hopefully I can write The People in My Building.
Wow, that's gonna be great. Have you-
And it won't be about me. After this, I think there's been enough said about me.
It's gonna be. I can't wait to finish reading.
Thank you for having me, Johnny.
Reading this book.
Thank you to two Chris's. Thank you to my dear friend Sharon, who I now am calling my coach. She's my coach.
Yeah, she's
Yeah,
good.
and if you're gonna have a coach, you might as well have a good-looking coach.
Yeah,
That's what I did.
That's for sure.
Yes, yes. I tell my wife I only work with women. Yes, it
Now-
works out better that way.
Now, Tony, let's.
Yes,
How does someone get the book? Like,
that's a good question. In Carmel, and I live in Carmel, when you go down Ocean Avenue, Chris Kringle, on one side of Ocean Avenue sells it. On the other side, Whitaker's Home Furnishing sells it. River House Books sells it at the Crossroads.
That's at the Crossroads.
Crossroads, and you can get it on Amazon, and it's soon going to be in Bookworks in Pacific Grove.
Perfect.
I like to put my books in books that are not bookstores, because when you're in 5,000 books, I don't know, why would people pick up my book? But if you go into a store and there's only 5 books by local authors, they
Yeah,
feel like
that's
they're
great. I think
special,
that's. I think.
and they buy them.
Yeah, because you have a tendency, you go in a bookstore, you're
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 overwhelmed.
gonna browse, and you're gonna go
Right.
here, you're gonna go there.
But if you go into
Where
a
was that
store
book? Yeah.
and it has only 5 authors,
Yeah.
there must be a reason. I'm the reason.
Wow. And then Tony, I remember you and when we worked together.
Yes.
You're one of the best front men around when you were at Waterside Restaurant,
I did love
which
it.
is now the Crab House.
Yes.
Then you worked at El Fornillo.
Alphanile.
You were the main guy in the front,
Right.
shaking hands, and
That's what I like to do.
for
All I do is talk.
for hospitality. That's what you want. You want to come in and you want someone to make you feel good.
You have to engage
And
them.
You definitely.
If you don't engage them, you lose them.
definitely make people feel good.
Thank you, Johnny. I
you've
can't believe we're reunited.
been reunited. I
Yes.
don't know. Just time flew by, and I
Yes.
don't know. You went one way, I went
Exactly.
the other way.
The car
And then-
accident
and
put me
then
out
I-
of action.
And then I looked at I think it was in the week, Monterey Week.
Oh, right. A story in
It
that
said,
one,
it
yes.
said Tony Albano's new book, come to a book sign. Like, Tony Albano?
Right. And there you
I know
were.
that guy.
And we
I'm
pulled
going.
up together in the parking
I
lot.
said, I'm going.
And I looked, I told my wife, there's Johnny.
Yeah, it was,
Yes,
that was really special.
that was.
Yeah.
And I'll be announcing soon my new performances I'll be doing. Somebody's making a new website for me right now.
Now the performances you're doing are they're storytelling.
Storytelling, and I will tell some stories from my new book.
Okay. Also, you sang.
I sang. I don't have a good voice, but I used to write songs.
You did a good job. With
There's
this.
a memorable song by John Prine, who we just lost, that I sing about memories. And then at the end, there's a song I sing that I wrote when I was a teenager. But I can't sing, but I still sang anyway.
Now that John Prine song,
Yes.
when I was at the book sign,
Yeah.
was called
Souvenirs.
Souvenirs.
Can't be bought.
And I remember at when we worked together,
Yeah.
there was I think when I was getting married, I'm not married now, but when
Yes.
I got married, you gave me a silver dollar.
Yes, a silver dollar, right.
And I still have
And you
that,
still have it.
the silver dollar, and every time I'm going through stuff,
Yeah.
I look at it, and I remember that Tony Albano gave
Yep,
that to me.
That's the one, Johnny.
And then you sang that song, Souvenirs.
Yep.
You gave me a souvenir.
That's right.
Yeah.
They can't be
Yeah.
bought and won at carnivals for free. It took me years to get my souvenirs, and I don't know how they slipped away from me.
Yeah.
There we go.
Tony, I really appreciate you coming on and sharing your life.
Well, thank you
With
for
us.
having me. This has been wonderful.
And-
I feel so relaxed here. This is not like your normal interview
Yeah.
where I get all stressed out and everything. I'm good. I'm overweight. This covers that. Once that's covered, I'm free. And here I am in this beautiful lounge that I didn't know existed.
This is
I love it here.
this is really great.
I'm coming back next week
I
to do another
can't
interview.
wait to come
You're welcome
back.
anytime.
And we really thank Chris Spencer for sponsoring this show,
Thank you.
taking us into his place, Spencer Lounge, which is actually behind the store, and I guess he uses it for special events or
Like this.
And you're anyone's welcome anytime.
anybody's welcome.
You know, there's people who
anytime.
come do work,
I'm
read a
thinking if
book.
there's any,
This is wonderful.
It's left wide open. It's underutilized, so
if anybody
Yeah.
wants a meeting or
Yes.
you
Some-
know like
meet a
12
friend
people
for lunch, whatever.
This is
Yeah.
a perfect
Yeah.
place.
hang out.
It's not the usual craziness going on.
No, I mean this
around
is really
you.
relaxing, so I'm enjoying it, and I want to stay all day.
Yes,
But
yes.
Tony, appreciate you coming on and
Thank you, John.
buzzing with cousin.
Buzzing because
And
we're back together
I
again.
love you, brother.
I love you after 30
Okay,
years.
thank you everybody, and
This was wonderful.
thanks for everybody for tuning in. Thank you, Chris Spencer. Thank you, Tony Albano, Sharon for helping out, Chris Johnson for helping out,
Who married me?
who married him like 40 years ago. And go out and get this book, Cherish,
You won't be.
fi-
You won't
and
be
find
let
out
down.
and find out what happens when a teenager and a nun get together.
Yes.
Thank you so much, and we'll see everybody next week. And everybody take care, and make sure you tip your server.
Yeah.
Bye.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank
Peace
you.
and